Amazing. Welcome, welcome, everyone. What is it, 3? My goodness, day 3 of Learnathon. How's everybody feeling? Type in the chat. Give me a temperature check. How are we feeling today? It's Wednesday, Friday's Junior's Junior. Lucy, hey girl, you feeling great? Love to see it. Honestly, we love Lucy. Lucy, I've worked with in the past, so really excited to have her here today. How's everybody else doing today? Hopefully, it's not too early or too late wherever you're coming in from. Thankfully, I'm in Miami, so it feels great. But I know that some people are experiencing an actual winter, and I don't love that for you. Amazing. Amy's here. We love Amy. Rachel's here. Oh my goodness. I think most of these participants I've actually had real life conversations with. So that's actually like a really cool experience. I love that.
Nice.
Amazing, amazing. All right. Well, we won't delay any further, but if you don't know me, my name is Darlise Calix, software engineer, but for Creator Fest purposes, I'm the co-founder and co-organizer. Really excited to have you all participating in the Learnathon. Today, we have Doro Unger-Lee, who will be talking about the power of blockchain, domino effects on society. So I will hand it over to Doro to kind of start her presentation and everything. And I'm looking forward to this workshop, and I hope you all are too.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited for being here and sharing a little bit about my personal take on blockchain and my sort of motivation to be in this space. I want to talk to you specifically about blockchain, not from a technical angle, and we will get into some technical stuff, but much rather into what does this technology do for society. And I want you to take that sort of as a big idea with you. And when you look at other applications or technologies, consider that ripple effect, the domino effect, and what can that mean for society in the short and the long run. So a little bit about me. My name is Doro Unger-Lee. I'm head of education and inclusion at Algorand Foundation. Algorand is a layer 1 blockchain protocol. Feel free to connect with me on X. I'll also put my LinkedIn later in the chat. I've been in the blockchain space for a little over 3 years. A background working in academia, always with new technologies, computer science, data science, you name it. And over 3 years ago, I made the jump into blockchain, again, as a complete newbie. And as part of my role, I sit in the impact team, which sits under the business development vertical at Algorand Foundation. And as part of that, my role focuses on financial inclusion, managing business development opportunities and relationships in the ecosystem that fall under blockchain for good. I also manage anything related to education, capacity building, university relations, and a few other things. So super excited to be here. I want to meet you all, and thank you to the organizers of this wonderful idea of this Learnathon and getting all of us together. Loved how there's a wide array of topics and discussion points for all of us. Feel free to put your questions in the Q&A and tell me maybe a little bit about yourself in the chat, where you're from, why you're here. I would love to read that. So when I talk about the ripple effects or the domino effects much more, I want to make clear that I do not work at Ripple, I work at Algorand. But I want you to have this image in mind where you can see a drop is going into the water and you see these ripples in the water. And I'm not going to specifically talk about the drop in the middle, but I'm going to talk about the ripple effects of blockchain technology. So as many of you know, blockchain technology is already reshaping our world. So even if you're not in the blockchain space right now, I'm sure you heard about it. You maybe have a crypto wallet, maybe you have some NFTs. I mean, crypto is really, and blockchain technology is really everywhere, from payments, carbon credit market, supply chain, travel, and so on. So it really makes already a huge difference. And the specific aspect I want to focus on today is financial inclusion. So I'm going to talk about this topic in 4 different sections. So first, I'm going to give you a little overview of where financial inclusion stands today, how blockchain comes into that and offers a solution, what the ripple effects are of the technology in the realm of financial inclusion, and last but not least, have we solved everything? And as many of you know, the answer to are we there yet is mostly no, not quite. So first of all, I want to give you a little bit of insight into where we stand today in terms of financial inclusion. So overall, on the globe today, we have almost 2 billion people who do not have a traditional bank account. So that rate in Europe is relatively low, it's less than 10%. But in North America, yeah, North America, I just want you to let that sink in, over 20% do not have a traditional bank account, meaning they do everything in cash, they can't write a check, they don't have any access to financial products that may be a savings account or mortgage or any other financial product that's available to you. And I hope this chart sort of comes through for you. Okay, yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Because I can't see you as I'm presenting. So here, I know these numbers are not up to date. These are from 2021. But take a look at the race and the income and the level of unbankedness, for the lack of a better term. So you can see the darker your skin, the less money you make, the less likely you are to have a bank account, the less likely you have access to loans, any sort of financial products as other people have. So that is a pretty stunning number. I think I'm sort of stating the obvious. If I had stopped somebody on the street, they would have probably made this assumption. But this is from 2021 in the United States of America. This is pretty crazy. But I don't want to only talk about like the pitfalls and the obstacles and what's not so great. I also want to underline a huge opportunity, which is the use of smartphones. So even in countries like Syria, Afghanistan, Iran, mobile phone penetration is high. So for example, in Afghanistan, 27 million people have a mobile phone, and 9 million phones of those are so-called smartphones. The other phones are feature phones, which, as you may know, can also access applications. You don't need to have a smartphone to access applications. So there's a big opportunity right here. But let's look a little bit at why the unbanked are unbanked. So financial services are primarily catered to people who live a very normal life. They work in a country or a region where there is no war. They go to work every day. They work the same hours every day. They get a stable paycheck. They have a house that's not being bombed. They go to work. They go about their day. For a lot of people, this, and especially for women, this is not the case. If you live in a region that's being bombed right now, that's politically unstable, where women do not have the right to have a bank account, where it's impossible to have a steady, stable income, where it's also not possible to trust a bank because they may abuse your funds, then it makes a lot of sense that no, you don't just walk down the Citibank and cash your check. Okay, so for us, going to the bank is very normal. We can read, we can write, we have smartphones, we live in a safe environment. For a lot of people on the planet, this is not the case, and that's why we're seeing such high numbers. So I just want to emphasize again, almost 2 million people on the planet do not have safe storage of funds. They don't have any access to financial products. They have therefore no opportunity to build wealth, and they have no access to assets. So for many of us, it's probably very common, the dream, you maybe buy some real estate, you buy maybe land, you invest somewhere, you have a fund, but this is not the norm for almost 2 million people on the planet. So let's talk about what blockchain offers. Blockchain, as you know, through its decentralized nature, complete transparency, and immutability of records, it offers democratized access to assets, so that may be real estate, disaster relief. Let's say a tornado took the roof of your home. It offers you ability to get funds quickly, directly to you. And it can also enable access to humanitarian aid, which in these days is normally paid either via vouchers or cash. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these three use cases. So first, I'm going to touch on assets. So I want to introduce you to a company called Lofty. They're based in the US. So unfortunately, for those of you who are not in the US, like myself, you cannot invest via Lofty. But with as little as $50 a month, you are able to invest into tokenized real estate. The ownership is organized via DAO, and they're already tokenized over 440 properties. So this is not just owned property, this is also rented property, this is even Airbnb. And as I'm talking you through those use cases, think again of the ripple effects. Think again of that image with a drop in the water. So let's say you're a single mother, you work at a fast food chain, and $50 every month. And that extra $50 maybe gives you a little bit of extra money to finally finish that course at community college, or take your child to tutoring, or you may be able to pay off your credit card and then you get better credit. So think of these little ripples that $50 a month via tokenized real estate investing can help. Next, I'm going to talk about disaster relief payments. So, as you are very well aware in the news, especially in states like, let's say, Florida and Mississippi in the United States, disasters strike every year. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And so far, if disaster strikes and you want to apply for disaster relief payments from the government or organizations like St. Vincent de Paul and BOA, you used to have to fill out a paper form. It would take weeks to months for you to get a small sum for you to help your family rebuild the home, maybe buy extra diapers, you lost your job, you need money to barely survive. ATEC, which is an company, they've built an app called the Care Wallet. And via that Care Wallet, survivors can receive disaster relief payments instantly. So all the case manager needs to do is they set up a campaign, let's say a hurricane hits a certain region, they set up the campaign, the eligible beneficiaries can apply, the campaign manager then accepts or rejects the application. Let's say it's from somebody who's not eligible, and the person gets that money immediately into their wallet on their phone, and they can then go immediately to, let's say, Walmart or Home Depot and buy goods for their family. So this is shorter, this is quicker, and above all, it's also transparent. So there's no double dipping, there's complete transparency on who received the funds and when and how they were used. And above all, it's quicker. People can get the help now. They don't have to sit around and wait. And it's all transparent on chain. The last use case I'm going to talk about is humanitarian aid. So for those of you who are not familiar with the space, you have to imagine the following. So back in the day, organizations like the World Food Program, they would hand out bags of rice, oil, flour, and so on. And they partially still do that today. However, they've now switched to giving cash and much more digital cash. But in the beginning, when they switched to cash, they would actually ship a whole plane full of fiat money, like a whole cargo plane full of money. And they would ship it to, let's say, Kabul. Then people who are eligible for the funding would be notified. They would then have to walk a day or even longer to come to the site where the funds were given out. They would have to stand in line, and I kid you not, for like 8 to 12 hours to get their money. And then they would have to make all the trip home, often with small children on their arms and the cash, to then be able to spend those funds. And you can imagine what that means for, let's say, a single mother holding her baby, having just received cash, being exhausted from standing in line all day. So blockchain offers a different solution, and I want to introduce you to a payments application called Hesa Pay. Hesa pretty much in Arabic means account. It's founded by an Afghani. They're based in Afghanistan. And it's a payments application that can be used for utilities, card payments, airtime, bills, merchants, P2P transactions. But their main use case is actually dissemination of aid payments via the Hesa Pay aid. So they work together, for example, with the World Bank, or they work together with the World Food Program to give cash to beneficiaries via blockchain. So what happens is they work with local merchants and they onboard the identified beneficiaries. And as I said earlier, you don't need to have a smartphone. You can also have a feature phone, or you can also just have a card with a QR code. It also doesn't mean you have to be literate. You can use even like a robocall rather than a text message that updates you on the balance and the use of the card. So what the good thing is the accounts, the money goes directly to the person. they can choose to spend the money what they want with a local merchant. They don't have to stand in line. They don't have to be unsafe. It's very discreet. And by spending the money locally, they can actually also instill more energy in the local economy. And the aid provider can see that there is no fraud, that the right person received the money, and they can see how they spent it, which in turn, again, incentivizes donors to give money because they see it actually goes to the person it's supposed to go. So as I was talking to you, I hope you had that little image here in mind of the drip of water and the ripple effects. So I want to sort of outline, I'm sure you all have your own ideas, and feel free to put them in the chat. But democratized access to funds and financial products and assets lead to overall less poverty, less skip meal, access to opportunities, right? If I have a little bit of extra money, I can buy, maybe in Afghanistan, I can buy better food for my baby. My baby sleeps better. That gives me more energy to study. I have access to opportunities. I can live safer lives, right? If I don't have to walk around in cash, or if I can at least get diapers for my baby right away after a hurricane. I can live a safer family life, and so on. And it's interesting that the London School of Economics actually did a recent study, and they tried, for the use case of humanitarian aid, they actually tried and tested the traditional way of disseminating cash-based aid versus paying out aid via HESA pay. And what they found was, well, a little bit of the obvious, right? If you give money digitally or fiat in hand, it leads to less poverty and less skip meals. But the cost per transaction, the CTR, via digital pathways, and particularly blockchain, versus giving cash out in big sites where people stand in line, the transaction cost was much, 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 much cheaper. And you scale the sample size of beneficiaries, the cost even went down. So it's proven, tried, and trusted that really blockchain technology in these cases that I mentioned can lead not only to help that's quicker, but it's also a lower cost for the aid provider, and it overall is more transparent and traceable. So think a little bit when you think about even little things like tokenized real estate, investing $50 here, and these other use cases that I mentioned. What if you were in that situation? What could the ripple effects be for you? So, and I said at the beginning, do we have all the answers? Is it all fine and dandy? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't be here today. So, from my personal point of view, I think there's 4 things we need to do. We need to create the right technology and the right applications. And that's also a shout out to the engineers and the software developers among you who have an idea. Go out and create the technology, participate in hackathons, do your work. Secondly, build capacity, not just technical capacity, but also train and educate policymakers and regulators. Share the knowledge. So that today, Creator Fest is a good opportunity to go out and give talks and talk about all the great things blockchain technology or any other technology that you are interested in and passionate about can do. And then also create settings where innovation can be enabled. I'm going to talk a little bit more about each point now. So in terms of technology, as I said, I'm from Algorand's a layer 1 blockchain technology. The transaction cost is like 0.0001 algo, so it's pretty much nothing. We can do up to 10,000 transactions per second, so that's 0 downtime, and it's carbon neutral. So when you're trying to build a blockchain, take some of these parameters into account and think of what is the right technology for me to use. So we at Algorand strive to build the best technology that's accessible and inclusive and affordable for everyone and good for the environment. Excuse me. Secondly, I want to talk a little bit about capacity building. So as a part of my role at Algorand Foundation, I'm also in charge of building programs for non-developer audiences. And one of the programs that we built is the so-called Algorand Blockchain Academy, which we beta this spring with 6 different UN organizations. And we just now launched it last month for 3 UN organizations, which is UNDP, the development program, UNV, the volunteer program, and UNCDF, which is the Capital Development Fund program from the United Nations. So over 20,000 staff can apply for this program. Application window just closed last Friday. And I'm proud to say that we really were overrun with interest. And the goal of this program is not to turn these people into blockchain developers, but instead to give them the conceptual understanding of blockchain use cases like the ones I mentioned earlier, so they can then be confident and go out in the world and talk about blockchain applications for development use cases confidently, and they have a core technical understanding of how it works. I also want to talk about sharing knowledge. So again, thanks to the organizers who went together. But there's also lots of conferences, not just crypto conferences, like think of any technology conferences. For me personally, it's very important to go out and talk about these impact-focused use cases and get people to understand what blockchain technology can really do. So it's not just NFTs, it's not just pumping you back. It's really about changing the world, and I mean it. I know it sounds cheesy, but I really mean it. And I also want to highlight our internship program for those of you who are still in college or grad school. Every summer, we recruit interns from really all over the world. We had interns from Kenya, from India, from Portugal, you name it, the United States. And we have a variety of non-technical and technical roles. They're all paid, they're all remote, where we train interns on the different sectors of blockchain technology, teach them how to do business development, marketing, impact work, and so on. So the application window for that opens next spring. Have a look out for that. If any of you are interested, people who are interested, we would love to see your application. We also need to enable innovation. What do I mean by that? At Algorand, we have formed a council of industry experts from Circle, from the World Food Program, from World Pay, from the UNDP, from other big political think tanks to, for example, right, in the realm of payments, advance the cause of humanitarian aid delivery in jurisdictions under crisis. So we're getting these experts together and we're sitting together to find out like, hey, okay, so we have the solution that works. We have a technology that works. How can we all bring our expertise together and work together to drive forward blockchain technology in this case for humanitarian assistance? What we also do is we partner with organizations such as the United Nations Development Program, or we make investments into projects that really drive real world impact on the Algorand blockchain. So this is it from me. Feel free again to connect with me on X. Love to hear your thoughts on that. And again, like I'm not a developer, I'm not a technical person. I know there's a lot of technical people here, but love to get your feedback, your thoughts, maybe also your applications on other technologies, what your thoughts are. And I'm just very, very grateful for all you to be here today and listen to me. And I hope you have that little ripple effect image in your head as you go about your day to day, and maybe think about blockchain technology or any other technology that you're aware or work with, and think of the ripple effects it has in your own life and that it can have for other people. That's it from me. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thanks so much for that, Doro. I'm going to the Q&A. I see, oh Lord, now my computer's saying I need to quit some applications. But we have a question from Rachel. She says, I found there's a barrier to entry within blockchain that has to do with understanding and scams around setting up and protecting wallets. How is the industry addressing this today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So I think blockchain still has a huge UX issue. It's not always easy to use, but I think it's all about having a good onboarding process. So the example that I mentioned with Pay, for example, they work with beneficiaries, for example, who don't know how to read and write, who never had a bank account, who maybe barely can use their phone. So it's really, they don't need to know the underlying technology and they don't need to understand it to the bit. They need to understand how the transparent aspect of it works and how the money goes from A to B. So I think it's all about meeting people where they're at, not trying to overcomplicate it, and making applications very user-friendly. And I feel, in a few years from now, people will not think about blockchain as the underlying technology anymore. Like how we don't think about, oh, this internet cable is giving my sound through the ocean. It's going to be just, oh, and this is how it works, and I can see my transaction on chain. So I think that's where we're getting to, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So thank you for the question, Rachel.
Thanks for that. I do have a question while others may be formulating their own, but with the Ideathon and the Hackathon coming up in 2025, how can participants put themselves in the mindset of utilizing blockchain technology to create solutions that will affect women? Like, what have you seen in the past, and maybe any tips and advice you could provide?
Yeah, thank you. I think we did a webinar for our most recent hackathon together with the UN Equity 2030 Alliance that fosters female participation in technology. And we had a great speaker there from an organization that drives women in blockchain and AI. And I think, the gist of that workshop at the end was be careful when you join a hackathon, it may change your life. So I think, first of all, the most important thing is to show up, even if you're not a technical blockchain person. And the second thing is to also, get as much information as you can ahead of time and think about where does blockchain make sense, because blockchain technology is not always the answer to all your problems. Blockchain technology is good if you're looking for data integrity and if you're looking for a trustless solution, right? So if I want to sell my car to my neighbor, why do I need blockchain for it? But if I want to sell, do trades with people all over the world instantaneously, and I want them to be vetted, and I want the funds going to the right person, blockchain is a good solution, right? I think we're at a moment in time where the technology is still developing. We're really at the grassroots level still, and women cannot miss the boat. So we talked about it earlier, how there's so many dudes still around, but like this is your chance, to not only make some money if you want to, but also like really get in at the core and bring female needs and bring that inclusivity and that diverse idea through the table. The guys don't know, period. They don't know what we need. And go out there and talk to people from all over, not just not just women who look like you and have the same life. Like go out there and travel, just go to a crypto event. If you've never gone, like go to the most random one, you'll find the other three women there. And within minutes, you'll come up with a great idea. And also, look at the SheFi program. Her DAO that does a lot of support for women, technical and non-technical. And it is really inspiring. I'm in my early 40s, and at these HerDAO events, there's women who are like in their mid 20s, and the power and the drive they have and the helpfulness they have for each other. Even if you don't have the skill set yet where you feel confident going to a hackathon, go to one of those women-led organizations. I'm sure you'll find buddies and teammates who will help you leverage your next big idea.
Amazing. Thanks for that. Yeah, Amy, SheFi is great. I was telling Doro that I did, and I think you also did the season 11 cohort, and there was some great content, great workshops. I definitely recommend SheFi. I definitely recommend HerDAO as resources. I loved Lucy's comment. She said, I believe another barrier to entry is understanding the platforms that host blockchains. She said she also finds it challenging differentiating between hot and cold wallets, keeping logins, data security. What advice can you give to someone who's maybe like just getting into the space, apart from obviously like maybe attending like other conferences, but if you know of any resources that would be just a great starting point for someone wanting to get involved?
Yeah. So one great free education program that's really easy, digestible. The DeFi platform Folks Finance, they have an academy called the Folks Academy, and they talk exactly about that kind of stuff. How do you keep your wallet secure? How do you keep your funds secure? What's a custodial versus a non-custodial solution, and so on. So check out Folks Finance, the Folks Academy. It's all free, and they're also super approachable. If there are any open questions, but that would be a good free resource, and you don't need to enroll in a cohort. You can just look at videos and watch them. So that's a great start to go there. Always have a ledger, keep your funds safe. Don't give your boyfriend your passphrase or your girlfriend. Keep that to yourself. And there's many other. I think there's a lots of more solutions also being worked on in terms of security. But get your education and don't share your passwords would be the most basic advice for me.
Thanks so much for that. And maybe in 2025, we'll do a couple workshops on just security in blockchain, because that's a big, big one. That's something that I'm passionate about. I know that's something Adrienne is definitely passionate about. And so we'd love to have a workshop around that as well. Yeah. So thanks
Yeah.
for that comment, Lucy. Absolutely. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, Doro, for your presentation. I found it incredibly illuminating. Let me know in the chat how you liked it. Give me a thumbs up, give me a clap, put it in the chat. I will say we do have a survey that I put in the chat. I'll drop it again just in case. If you liked this session, and let me make sure that I actually updated it. If not, just refresh it in the next 5 minutes, because I may not have. But yeah, just refresh in the next 5 minutes. But please let us know how we did. Let Doro know how she did. Feedback helps us grow. Feedback helps us make sure we're creating more programming that will connect with you and inform you. So really, really grateful for this. Thanks so much, Janelle.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Just a couple of announcements. Take a look at the event schedule for any workshops happening later today. I believe we have 2 based on AI. So AI for everyone, leveraging language systems, and then AI for high compute power. So those will be really, really cool. I highly suggest them. And that is all that I have. We'll drop some resources in an email based off of what Doro said. And I'll connect with you, Doro, if you have any more, so we can create just like a master list of resources that'll be great for people to sort of leverage.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everyone who attended today. I put my LinkedIn in there. If you have any follow-up questions, I can then send you my email. My email is just doro@algorand.foundation, so feel free to drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. And Lucy, I'll update it right now, so you'll see it in the next 5 minutes. All right. Bye, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.